going to take a minute here for people to come on. You can answer into the chat, and it is supposed to come up. I'm just going to turn on my, there. Now I got my sound a little better, hopefully. And hopefully everybody can hear me this time. Looks like my mics are on. This is good. I had trouble last time. If you comment in wherever you're watching this, I don't know where you're watching from. I've got two cameras going here. So if you see me moving my eyes, that's what's going on. Wherever you are, I would love to say hello to you. And if you could talk to me in the chat, I would appreciate it. I'm using Restream technology, so hopefully it'll come through on my screen here and I'll be able to see it. Okay, I'm just going to give it another minute for people to come on. All right, I'll be starting in just a couple minutes. All right. Hello, honey. Hi, James. Yeah, I'm just giving a minute here for people to come on. I'll just start in one more minute. I can't see with everybody where they are. Oh, there's a couple people on my other channels. I think I can see that now. Okay, I'm going to get started. Hello, everybody. This is Soul Chat, and I am Jennifer Quick from Soul Clarity Coaching, and I'm happy to have you here. So I'm glad you're joining me. And so every week I come on live at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays, and I talk Soul Chat. What's going on? So people during the week, you can put a message in right now in the comment section wherever you're watching this from, or you can send questions to me earlier in the week, and then I will come out and do them when I do this. So hi, Lilia. I have two cameras going, is what I was just saying. So because I can't get Instagram to work with anything else, so I'm doing it on two different cameras. So today I wanted to chat about relationships, because that is the number one thing that has come up with all of my clients this week. And I've gotten a few messages through my social medias as well to asking me about relationships. So that's a kind of an interesting thing. We are having, as you know, we are in the middle of an evolution. We are evolving ourselves into a bigger consciousness. We're moving from a three-dimensional way of thinking, which is all about survival, to a fifth-dimensional thinking, which is all about unity, compassion, and cooperation. So as our bodies are leveling up, so does our relationships. They need to level up as well. So our relationships, pretty obvious, for centuries, if not thousands of years, we have had these distinct male and female roles. And everybody, this is your box, that's where you fit, and you don't go out of it. Very few people went outside of that, and it was frowned upon. There was a place and time for that. At lower vibration, it served the greater good. It served our entire society to continue growing. It served us individually for survival purposes. But obviously, today's world, that's not necessary. Individuals have the ability to be independent of themselves. So they no longer need these identifying roles. And we are much more becoming aware of what do we resonate with. So, the masculine feminine spectrum is quite large now. And no, just because of what your body is doesn't mean that's what you necessarily resonate to. So there's a broad spectrum that people can identify with. This also is so individually we're leveling up that way, but this is also affecting our relationships. So in the past, we didn't have birth control for a very long time, which meant sex meant babies, which meant dependence, which meant responsibility, and a whole whack of now your role is this. Well, in today's society, we don't have to have children, and sex don't have to be the same thing, right? And we have an ability to take care of ourselves, independent of each other. So we don't need that kind of roles for each other. So what do we need? We need to move away from role mates and move into soul mates. So we're going to level up. And so what does that mean? That means that we have to rethink the way that we do relationships. We no longer get together to play these roles for each other in our lives, but we come together to support each other's individual growth. We need to learn how to ebb and flow between the energies within ourselves as well as the energies within our relationships, because we do respond off of each other. We now have to, marriage is actually, some people feel marriage is becoming obsolete because in the past it was a legal binding that kept us from leaving each other and it held us to our responsibility of our roles. Well, now marriage to me is still valid because it's a commitment of love and support toward two people. We're going to go through this life together and we're going to support each other. We're going to grow and we're going to be there. I got your back, right? Not only do I have your back, I want to be there to celebrate your wins. We want to be two whole people coming together. And so it gets really confusing, right? We're all confused inside, let alone within our relationships. So relationships now, we need to look at what are our partners facing when they go out into the world, and what do they need from us and help them feel whole, help them find their balance, help them create a safe space that they come back to. That's what our homes need to be, that we create together. It's a safe space for both people to be individuals. There's also interesting factors going in too, because we have a lot of people that work from home now, and we never used to have that either, right? It was one person went out of the home and did their work, and the other person stayed in the home and took care of things, on the home front. But now the responsibilities need to be divided between each other, and it's not second nature for us. These are new rules that we're learning. So we have to have compassion. We have to have open communication, and we have to stand in our authenticity. So as we identify within ourselves what we need to clearly communicate that with our spouses or our partners that we choose to be with. So I have a saying that I often tell people when they're working through their relationship issues, and that is that it takes up to 5 times to have an important conversation with someone. Because the first time that you bring up a subject, especially if it's one that you have had struggles with in the past, quite often you bring up a sensitive subject, and sometimes we don't even know they're sensitive until we hit that point with each other. But we bring up the subject and we hit each other's triggers, our childhood memories, our beliefs, our illusions, the programs that that are buried in our subconscious, right? We trigger those, and the person has this reaction to what we've said. We need to let them have that reaction. Then they need to go and process it in the way that they process it, and then we try and have the conversation again. So I say that whenever you have an important thing to discuss with your partner in life, have an expectation or an allowance, anyhow, within you that it's going to take up to 5 times before you actually break through and have a heart-to-heart conversation. And that's because we have to help each other move up into that point where we can actually finally connect and stand in authenticity to each other and communicate openly on it. And then quite often the subject only goes so far before we need to kind of retreat, get our own bearings again of how this is affecting us, and then come back and affect how it's in the relationship. This is how an evolution of our relationships are. It's not dictatorships to the roles. It's now we've got to learn how to flow and meet each other's needs. Another aspect is we used to require, because of the roles and because of the dependence and the need for survival, we would put up with a lot from each other that really wasn't acceptable. But we put up with it because it served us in so many other ways. Well, nowadays, when you're looking at a soulmate, you don't want to put up with anything, but you do want to make a choice. So every day that you stay in a relationship, you are making a choice to love that person. And if you're constantly undermining them and saying, you don't do this for me, or I need this from you, and putting demands on that other person, then you're not choosing to love them, right? You're choosing to say, you love me. We're putting a demand for them to love you versus you actually being open and accepting of how they are. So we need to make a choice of being in love with each other. It's not just a point of we need each other to fulfill roles, right? We want to be there for each other. So we make a choice every day. We make a choice to sit down and listen to what the other person is saying with an open heart, trying to hear with our heart and our mind what they're actually saying, right? Often, depending on what your energy alignment, but a lot of people require talking to somebody in order for them to make sense of their own emotions. And this is the ground we want our soulmates to hold. We want our soulmates to be that one person that we can safely express ourselves and work our own understanding of ourselves. We don't want to be told, we want to be analyzed. We want a safe space to work it out. So, and then at the same time, sometimes we have wisdom, but we can't tell somebody, we can share with someone. Right? Soulmates share a life together. Right? They're not defined. So having communications, talking authentically from the heart, listening more than we're talking. Remember, it takes up to five times to have a real good heart-to-heart conversation on a subject. So another area of relationships that is evolved a lot is in the way our money flows in our relationships. Some couples keep everything separate. Some couples blend everything. Historically, men were in charge of money and dealt it out to the women for the home and the dependents. The provider anyhow did that role. But nowadays, we've got two people bringing that money into the relationship. And so we need to, again, have communication on it. We need to have clarity on it. And a lot of couples fight about money. We all have our different backgrounds with money. We all have different ways that we learned how to handle our money. And we all have unique ways that we are designed to work with money. And then, of course, there's different incomes and different wants and needs and all that. And that all has to be factored into the relationship. So one of the best tips that I have for couples when it comes to money is that whoever in the family is the one that does the banking side of it, and maybe you both do the banking and then you come together, but keeping each other on a regular basis informed of where the money's at. So generally, you buy groceries every week. There are bills to be paid usually twice a month. Paychecks come anywhere from once a week to every other week to twice a month. There are times, right? So it's important to have those conversations, and a lot of people aren't able to. So my number one tip that I tell people is every time, so make it a regular time that you go in and do whatever finances there is you do. And then this is funny, but send each other an email with the recap of where the money is. So what bills were paid, what needs to be paid, how much came in, what went out, like just a summary of what is happening financially. Then you both always know. They're both on this involved. Even if it's only one person that's taking care of it all, the other person needs to be aware that it's being handled. Right. And if the other person, they know how it's being done and everything. And then sometimes it's the coming together of both of you and different expenses. So it's a really, really great way of taking, a lot of us don't have time together. So sending a recap email about our finances is a really good way of keeping the communication lines open and not having the big surprises come at us. All right. And sometimes, we have busy schedules, so we don't get time to talk about the little things, right? And we don't get time to, I don't know, at the end of the day, I know for both my husband and I, we're tired. We're exhausted, right? the last thing we want to do is buckle down and have financial decisions and bills to pay and worry about, all the little nuances of schedules and things like that. And we actually do this for our schedules as well. But sending each other an email of what the financial status is that week, what our thoughts are. So I'll put in there, like, hey, I want to go on a ski trip this winter. I'm thinking we need to have this much money. I'm starting to put this money here, right? Heading towards that. So we can put your goals in there, and that's all in a recap email. And so the communication is open between us. And we don't have to worry about having those conversations or remembering to have the conversations when we're tired at night and when we have other things to talk about. This can also be helpful in raising kids. A lot of times we try and communicate with our spouses. Meanwhile, we have kids interrupting conversations or in the room, and maybe we want to have adult talk and not kid talk. And by the time the kids go to bed and we go through the rituals of putting them to bed, all we want to do is be in bed ourselves. I know both my husband and I often fell asleep with our kids reading bedtime stories. It was kind of a joke. We always did that. So again, these are things that you can put in an email, recital dates, games, schedule swaps, like here's the week's schedule. This is what I need. When it's put into an email, it registers a little bit more and somebody can put it into their calendar and be on top of it. So those are ways. It sounds like it's, some people think it's terrible because it's not got that human contact with each other. But it actually goes a long way to keeping onto the same page as far as building a life together. And it frees up a lot of time that when you are together personally, you can actually connect and spend joyful time together, being in love with each other, nursing the passions of each other, comforting the needs of each other, encouraging each other, and listening to each other. So those are some great tips. That is, I think, what I wanted to talk to with everybody tonight. I do have a couple of announcements. I have cacao ceremony on Friday night, this week, Friday night, out at Infinite Serenity Holistic Spa in Langley. Starts at 7 o'clock. Reserve your seat. That is Cacao Wild Woman Ceremony. Yes, it is open to men. You're welcome to come. So bring your spouses or your boyfriends. And it is we share in the cacao, in the ritual of sharing cacao, and then I channel through a particular goddess. Every month it's a different goddess, and she comes through and leads us on a shamanic journey within ourselves to heal our inner wounds, to release the wild woman. And if you don't know what the wild woman within, it's the raw feminine energy and all its authenticity and glory. So it's really helping us step into our true selves. So anyhow, that's Friday night. Yes, there's still a few seats left for that, so go ahead and book it. I am also available to see people in person on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays by appointment only, because I only go into town if I have clients to see. Otherwise, I don't. And of course, I'm always taking appointments online through Zoom, and I'm happy to do that. Anyhow, that's my live for tonight. I didn't see any comments come through, and so I'm going to say good night. Love you all. Mwah. Have a glorious week. Bye. End stream. How do I end this? Oh, there I go.